Well, here we go. Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience,
Experience sports like you never have before.
where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam. I'm so proud of me.
I am too.
I flawlessly executed an intro. Man, it only took 4 months and 4.5 months. We've almost done. Was it 17 episodes coming up?
Yeah.
We're rocking, baby.
Yeah. Are you gonna
I'm
make
gonna
this one private?
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure we actually can watch this one. Viewership's clearly down on episode 16 due to poor YouTube usage. As you can tell, we're the most technologically savvy group that ever ran their own channel. So, other than that, how was your week?
Busy.
Busy?
Yeah.
It was.
Very busy with work.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Getting adjusted to this new job. This job is go. So, still doing the schools?
No, we're done with that. I'm back to my normal stuff. That's why I've been busy. Like
Catching up on everything?
the person that was doing it for me while I was gone, messing stuff up. So I've been busy trying to fix those things. So it's I haven't been having a good week because of
when
that.
the substitute doesn't do a good job substituting, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, well, on this topic of just that little screw up mishap that we had on the viewership thing. How about Shannon leaving undisputed?
He
Let's
is.
skip.
He is. We knew it, and they said it a few weeks ago, but he officially walked out. I guess yesterday was his last episode.
Yeah.
I got to hear him leaving, and I'm gonna be honest. As much as the reports were that they didn't get along, his voice sounded, and maybe he's supposed to, but you could hear a genuine that he enjoyed working with Skip.
Yeah.
Like most people, self included, find Skip to be stupid and annoying. But it seems like he genuinely looks at Skip and took what he grew from him. And you can appreciate that. Now, their arguments clearly were faker than we already knew they were, but...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, that is cool. I mean, they made it how long?
7 years.
Was it really that
Yeah.
long? It doesn't seem like Skip's been away from there that long. But
That's what I was saying.
then I guess
that's
that
funny.
also makes sense that they'd love each other and have fights less fake. I mean, I fight with friends that I love to get up and work with. So.
Yeah, it happens. Like you might have these skits written out, but sometimes you're getting into it and you kind of forget that it's a skit. And you just kind of go off.
Hey, emotions happen.
Yep.
I like it.
And
one of these days we'll have one of those. I'm waiting for the day where we find just a trigger thing, and that's gonna get clipped, and we're gonna use that. Duh.
I mean, we should.
We're gonna
definitely.
laugh
Yeah.
after we did it and go, fuck yeah! Like
That's awesome. This is gonna be good.
we need to find a way to do that to those every 6 months. Like
Uh,
radio does them every now and then. It's always fun to laugh at those.
I don't know if you've went too far into it to see
haven't
who
yet.
they. Okay, so they've already kind of come out with a list in a way.
I heard a couple of names. I think LaShawn
McCoy is supposedly the leading runner for this, but they also brought up Emmanuel Acho.
Okay.
They brought up Joy Taylor, who was the moderator for a couple years, a few years ago when they first started.
When they first got going.
So they talk about bringing her back, but of course she's on the herd.
Yeah,
So
and
I
I
don't
don't
know about that one.
That's gonna sound.
The other one, Keyshawn Johnson, which,
Oh yeah, because he's no longer ESPN.
and then another one is Michael Irvin. This one I totally don't want.
Did Michael Irvin leave ESPN?
Well, they let him go because of the
The stuff that he then found out didn't do wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah.
the only reason why I wouldn't want him with Skip is because they're both Cowboys fans, and I just don't want that. Like that would be extremely
Yeah, you'd
annoying.
have to have. You gotta have someone who can argue it.
And the
You
last
can't
thing
overlap
on
it.
this list would be the entire reason. Like I already don't really like listen to it because I don't like Skip, but the last name that I saw mentioned was Nick Wright.
Oh,
And I would
okay.
absolutely just turn that crap off
I
and
like
block
Nick. I like-
everything that
I
has
like
him.
Nick Wright.
I can't stand
I don't
Nick
know
Wright.
why. I liked Nick Wright back when he was doing overnight radio and I was driving to do a security gig. Like there was a time where Nick Wright was the 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. slot, and I would be driving to work an overnight shift and listen to Nick Wright, or overnight working security and listen to Nick Wright. I like Nick Wright.
I can't stand him. I haven't been able to stand him in a long time.
I like him way more than I like Skip Bayless, so.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't like either one of them, and if they're on a show, Like, I don't even want highlights showing up.
Like, literally, I think Nick Wright's the only thing that comes on Fox Sports, like, network that I actually will go, oh, Nick Wright's on it. Look, wait for a second and look. Like, the rest of them, when you say their names, I'm like, is he with Fox? Because I'm trying to figure out what network they work for, because are they going to go buy someone new to come work with him? Like, that was yeah. But no, I did see that. That'll be interesting. I mean, Stephen A. Smith's been through 50 partners since
Stephen A. ain't going.
Oh,
they
no.
ain't caring back
Stephen
there.
A. Pays get paid way too much, but he's never had a long-standing permanent, really. I guess Max Kellerman for a while.
Yeah.
But they've always felt like, and I kind of like that approach, refreshed with a different face. They even bring Mad Dog Russo in. As a baseball person, I don't care for Mad Dog Russo. He knows baseball, but his voice is nails on a freaking chalkboard for me. That high-pitched New York yelling at you, it drives me nuts.
That's what I don't like about
Nick Wright. Oh.
That and like even though some of the views I agree with Chris Broussard, I can't stand Chris Broussard's voice.
Okay, I can see that.
Like those are, and then like having him and Skip on the same show, like ugh. Like just hang
my
down.
only problem, honestly, and I think it's gotten lesser as I've gotten older and realized it, is I think my biggest issue with Stephen A. years back was that he would say things that clearly proved he didn't know a certain sport. But then as I've gotten older and I started looking at the workload that he takes on for the network, because of what they pay him, they give him a bigger workload, you kind of start to realize that there's no way he has time to study and know everything the depth he's
Stephen
supposed
A.
to.
is the same way.
That's what I mean, is Stephen A. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is that they throw so much on his plate that you're like, Stephen A. knows basketball. Like, there's no hesitation. If someone's gonna talk basketball, I'll sit and listen. But I've also watched Stephen A. Smith go, how about those Chargers and Antonio Gates? And Gates has been retired for 5 years. And so it's like, he doesn't clearly have time to plug into all of them, and then he has to debate about them, and that kind of proves the scripted nature of it at times. And so that's always been my issue. But like I said, as I get older, I kind of realized, damn, they work that dude like a dog.
They really do. I mean, he is literally everywhere.
He's literally the only person that's on more things that's not sports related at all here is freaking Steve Harvey. I swear. Steve Harvey.
He's a judge now.
Yeah, he's Judge Steve Harvey. Like, what is he judging? Stupid Family Feud answers? Or his other game show he hosts? Or, like, you turn on CW and it's Steve Harvey. What the hell?
They do have that man running crazy.
Yes,
just
like, everything has to be in the same studio. There's no way that he doesn't, like, have a golf cart that just shuttles him 3 buildings over and throw his robe on and gavel, gavel, gavel.
Just right next door.
Yeah, or they just slide the props over and here he goes. Like, I'm Judge Steve Harvey. Like, and where's the law degree in that? Like, there's got to be some lawyer. There can't be legit.
There's not.
Lawyer
Like,
case in
I
here.
watched a little clip of it earlier, and he was making jokes. Going, this one guy came up and he said, he said, when I give the information that I'm going to win this case, and he goes, you ain't winning this case. You are not winning this case.
No,
and just started making fun. I was like, okay, no, this is scripted stuff just to be funny. Like, it ain't real. I don't care if they hammer down.
We'll watch it because Steve Harvey's hilarious. Like,
I used to love watching Steve Harvey show, man. That was such a good show back in the day.
He's probably one of my favorite, especially at the time, he's probably been my favorite Family Feud host. And we've seen in my life and in beyond my life, we've seen 7 to 10 Family Feud hosts probably, and all of them have brought their own unique comedic relief to it. But the way Steve Harvey goes about it, he'll just look at you and go,
honestly, I think that's all scripted too.
You really think so?
Yes.
I don't know. Some of it, there's some genuine
questions.
shock that you see some of these that he gets. Like when you see like I watched a kid the other day that they showed a clip where it was like, when you know your spouse is mad at you, what is the first thing you should do? And the kid goes, lie. And Steve Harvey about fell out of the chair. He was laughing. He put his arm around the kid and he goes, "You know how true that is, kids."
Well, see, the only reason why I feel like let me say that I don't think it's scripted. I think that it's set up purposely. Like they put the questions that are meant to make the contestants answer a certain way so that it can set him up for jokes. Because I think he works on what could they say type of setups.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's what I feel like. That's why it's so easy for him to riff off of it real quick. Is
Okay.
because I feel like they set him up purposely so that he's going to expect something crazy, and he can kind of has an idea that he can kind of go off of.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I guess
It's still great, but
it's
you know,
still
I mean,
hilarious.
hey,
and there's
you know
times
what?
that also laughing at it.
And while we're on this, I mean, before we even get into sports, I mean,
I was
we
saying,
should
it
go
seems
ahead.
like we're in pop culture.
Yeah,
I'll
we
just
might
keep
as well
rolling with
keep rolling
more of
with
it.
Yeah.
I would say we know that we have some movies that have just come out. We know we've got a history of talking hero movies, and we have the sports movies that I've been watching and we talk about every now and then too. Enter the Spider-Verse. Did you see the original one?
I've seen the original. I want to see.
I have not
wanna
seen the
see
newest one.
Across-
So the newest
yeah.
one, Across the Spider-Verse, is currently sitting at a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. It is the highest rated Spider-Man movie of all time. I'm talking Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, every single one of them. This is the highest rated one, and they're wrapping it up next year with a third one. They have it already
Yep. And it's
all
gonna be
lined
the one
up, and it's gonna finish it out. It's getting its own trilogy, which really robs Andrew Garfield. If you're gonna give a cartoon 3 of them, you damn well should have given Andrew Garfield his trilogy.
You should have, but
He did a good job, but that's completely off
Yeah.
the topic of it.
what was the other movie?
Yeah, and then tomorrow, and this one's kind of controversial. Tomorrow, well, technically
Yeah.
Friday, but tomorrow night you can be able to see it. The Flash drops. And this is one that I'm torn on because we've seen the turmoil that the DC universe has been. I mean, first we're bringing back Superman back. Now we're not, which was stupid because he was fantastic.
Yeah.
No, bar none, one of the best Superman we've had in years of doing it.
100%.
Batman's gonna leave. No, Batman's coming back. Now we're bringing back an old Batman. Like, we don't know what's going on. The story thing. So they're basically taking this and they're resetting. They're using Flash's ability to screw with the
It's
timeline.
the Flashpoint.
Yes, and they're gonna break it all.
So
They're gonna
if
restart.
you've seen the Flash TV show,
Yes.
they
Do
use
it-
the Flashpoint. They haven't done kind of like this.
Yeah,
as far as I know, 'cause
they
I
did
quit
a
watching.
Flashpoint variation in the TV show, and then he went back and fixed it, and then there were just things that changed off of it. Whereas this one's gonna be, from every understanding, is we're breaking
Force
all
it
the
up.
doors open, we're bringing in the multiverse, and we're starting DC over. This is supposed to be, they're gonna introduce Supergirl, they're gonna introduce some other things that are supposed to be going on. There's questions that I have though, like is Jason Momoa gonna stay Aquaman? Because
As far as
he's
I know,
fantastic,
yes.
and he has another movie that's still coming out.
As far as I know, yes, because from what I've seen, the director said that nothing in the Flash is going to affect Aquaman.
Well, that
So
would be good.
as far as I
Maybe-
know,
I
it's fine.
wonder. Another one we wonder was what's happening with Gal Gadot. How is her impact? Gal Gadot. Sorry. How is her role going to happen with Wonder Woman? Is that going to change? I mean, there's a lot of questions that
Yeah.
are going to come that have been good actors and good roles so
Yeah.
far. So I'm curious what they're going to do because
That one's going to be interesting because I really haven't heard a lot on that one.
yeah, like it's not been one
But
that's been
I
talked
know
about.
she's still there. They haven't got rid of her.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, like she might still be
Then-
part of it.
And then the whole controversial part of all of it is that Ezra Miller got to keep his job
After
working
everything
for
that he's
Warner
done.
Brothers with all the crap that he's done. We watched Warner Brothers kick Johnny Depp in a movie that he worked with Ezra Miller in, tanking the ratings for that movie. Like, single-handedly, what killed the Fantastic Beasts franchise is getting rid of Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Like, people, self-included, did not want to go to the theaters and watch it because you changed the bad guy by putting a new face and how he acted. And I didn't agree with it, so I didn't go. I wasn't going to give them my dollars. I did see it eventually, but I didn't go pay
I
for
still
it.
haven't.
You still haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
It's not bad, but it wasn't. I didn't want to go pay my money for something that I didn't believe in. Like, I didn't believe he was just in being released.
Yeah.
But Ezra Miller gets to slap fans, and we keep him. And now he's a superhero. He literally got pulled over by the cops and told the cop, "I'm the Flash. Do you not know that?"
Oh, he's gone through like it's ridiculous what he's been able to get away with.
Yeah.
To keep his job.
And he's staying they're basically making him the focal point of their entire restart. So
And I think maybe after this is when he might not be part of it anymore. They might have just kept him on because it's an important part for the franchise to reset, was to
And
be
they
able
just-
to do this.
and they needed the
They
guy.
absolutely
And then
needed
maybe they can just do a person swap and keep the role. And if that's the case,
Grant Gustin.
Grant Gustin's the free agent right now, and he's the best Flash. So just slide him on in. Honestly, you could just slid him in anyway.
Yeah.
He would have done it.
Yeah.
He loves the Flash. He even had said, I'd have gladly kept playing the Flash, but I know the series needed to end. So, I'm just saying, I'd gladly take it. It would make my life happy.
The last movie that I'm going to talk about before we jump into sports.
Okay.
It just it just released, or not just released, but the trailer just released, and that's Expendables 4. And
okay.
I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't seen the trailer yet.
Okay, there's
I've
some,
seen all the original
there's some
ones.
new people in there, or 2 new people in that trailer.
Who are the new people?
There's 50 Cent.
Okay.
Yeah. And Megan Fox.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That
So
one's
those are
interesting.
2 new people. 50 is part of the crew. It looks like Megan Fox is actually going to be part of a different crew because she's with Jason Statham in this.
Okay.
But when Slice shows up, he comes up to Statham going, "Hey, I need you," and she's already going off on some mission or something. So he goes off, and I guess I'm assuming that this is going to end up tying into them going, "Oh, hey, we're in the same spot doing the same mission." That's what I'm going to assume is going to end up happening. But
those movies have been one of those like nostalgic, perfect levels of cheesy meets cool. Like,
yeah.
Every one of them
100%.
I've watched, and I thought this is pretty dumb, but I really like it.
Yeah.
Like I'll go back and rewatch them.
Was it 2? I think it was 2 with Chuck Norris.
Yes, I think Chuck
Chuck Norris and
2.
Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Okay, well, Bruce Willis was in 1 also. But,
They're each in one. I think.
yeah,
Because I think
so
my favorite
Chuck
part was when
Norris-
they brought Chuck Norris, and it was like they
he
gave
did
him
the Chuck
his
Norris jokes.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
I
they
was
gave
like,
him,
oh my
they
God,
gave
yes.
him his homage. Like, no, he's Chuck Norris. Like all these badasses, and they're all like he's Chuck Norris. Like that's freaking awesome. So no, it's that'll be something. I'm gonna have to find that preview for sure and watch it. I think that I definitely would rewatch all of them and go and see that movie though.
Oh yeah,
For sure. And so, with that, with all the excitement that brings new movies, I guess we should get to the big deal in sports. We had 2 champions crowned in the last
We
48
sure did.
hours. One looks super excited, and one doesn't seem as excited, but he's excited he's a champion. So first off, we'll make Stars fans feel better and know that they lost to the eventual champions who didn't just win. But I don't know much on hockey, but I know that if you score 9 goals, you beat the hell out of the other team.
Yeah.
And in an elimination game, Florida gives up 9 goals and loses 9-3. So, champions of the league this year in hockey are the Vegas Knights and the Golden Knights, and currently they're like now the 8th highest odds to win next year. Like no one thinks they're going to do it again.
So, what's so crazy about this? Something that I looked up was they've been to the playoffs every year since they've been a team.
Yeah.
And this is their second Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes,
Because they
and
won
they
their
won
first year.
They've
and now
only
won.
been a franchise for 6 years. Sit back and think about your team. Just think about whoever your team is, whoever's listening. I waited up to 25 of the years of my life to watch the Cubs win a World Series. I watched the Rangers make the World Series when I was 20 and 21, but they didn't win it. I've watched, my dad went 30 years, we're waiting for the Seahawks to win a Super Bowl. I mean, we've watched these teams go forever. If you hopped on the Vegas night train day one, you've known nothing but success. At some point, they're going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, at some point. They can't be great forever.
And it's Vegas is going to be like, we're supposed to be a winning franchise. Like, why are we losing? That's what's going to end up happening.
They're gonna build this to pedigree. And you know what? I almost wish I would have went basketball first because the topic of Vegas is gonna bring me to something else later.
Well,
but
something else I thought was really cool was that Jonathan Marchessault. Okay, he was the Conn Smythe Smythe.
Oh, that's the
trophy
goalie, correct?
I don't believe he's
No,
the goalie.
he's not the goalie. No. Okay.
But what I thought was cool is he went from undrafted to, I'm assuming that's the MVP.
Yeah, that's their MVP.
Okay, so he went from an undrafted player to MVP of the finals.
I know that the other, this is crazy because they built their team literally off of the scraps of other teams. It's like how you build a new franchise. We've talked about expansion franchises happening before. Their goalie, originally they had Marc-Andre Fleury. But their goalie now was a 4th-round pick who'd been cut by 2 other teams and all this other stuff that he'd been through, and now he's like the starting goalie. And I need to check the camera to make sure it's still working.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Well, while he's doing that, I want to bring something up that I thought was really cool.
Still working.
All right. So apparently there's a curse that if you beat the Leafs, you are not winning the finals. Why? Because in 2019, Boston beat the Leafs. They lost in the finals. In 2021, Montreal beat the Leafs. They lost in the finals. 2022, Tampa Bay beat the Leafs. They lost in the finals. This year, Florida beat the Leafs, and they lost in the finals.
Well, I guess that gives solace to Canadian hockey fans that
So if
they
you,
jinx teams.
if you're going into the semifinal and you play the Leafs
This is the
and you
Toronto
win,
team.
it sounds like you're going to lose the finals.
But you're making it to the finals.
But you're making it to the finals.
I mean, that's a small plus. Like, is it worth? Do you want? Would you rather make the finals every year and never win it, or win the finals once and never make it again?
I mean, if you go every year, you're a winning franchise because you're up there constantly.
But if you never
But
win the
never
championship,
winning
you
it,
never
like-
won it.
Like, that's just celebrating being second place all the time.
Yeah.
So, no, I would have to at least win one.
So win one and suck the rest of your career.
Be like the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh!
Or just win 3, win 2 back to back, and then a third one, and then just never win again.
Gotcha.
Like, something like that. Or the Milwaukee Bucks, where they win one and they're probably never going to win another one again.
It's very unlikely because they can't get anything around Giannis that stays healthy or consistent. So on the topic of Giannis and basketball, the Joker gets in one.
Yep.
The Nuggets get it. They took care of business. Jimmy Butler cannot be Hemi during the finals because there was nothing Hemi about his game or any nicknames for the 5 games of the NBA.
I got a nickname
He had a
for him.
stretch.
I got a nickname for him.
Oh no!
And it was actually an author friend of mine that came up with it.
Oh no! What do we got?
I said, Hemi Buckets, more like Jimmy Schmuckets.
Oh man, it was bad. He had a stretch.
Look, he actually did good,
It was his shooting numbers that were the
but it
disappointment.
wasn't Hemi Buckets good. It was Jimmy Butler good.
Yeah.
It was a good player, not a star player, because that finals game,
He had a stretch game 5 where
Oh.
you thought he was gonna make one, like make magic happen at the end. And I think I think we saw in that series the importance of a Tyler Hero who never could get back to fully getting to play because of the
Yeah.
injury. Because the other role players, we kept talking about how Gabe Vincent did this and Duncan Robinson, and these guys still played decent basketball. Like they played role player basketball, but these guys were basically taking turns making the big shot and helping win games for them. And when they
Yeah.
weren't, they were
Yeah.
losing. We've talk about it much, but when they lost, they lost. They got their butts kicked when they would lose a
Every
playoff
time.
game. Exactly. And
it
so
was never close when they lost.
Tyler Hero at least brought them a guy that could make his own bucket. And they never had anybody that can. Kyle Lowry, the oldest guy on either team, was the most consistent at making his own bucket of role-playing minutes players. Like, at the end of the day, Jimmy Butler is a very good basketball player, but Jimmy Butler's not a shot creator by nature. And so you see a stat line of 5 of 18 and you look at it and you go, well, he didn't shoot well. Well, that's because it's not really his game to make those shots. And there's no one to give him any kind of double teams are getting waved at him all the time. Even the shot he took at the end of the game, the 3 he pulled, was a terrible shot.
It was.
Like the guy, Aaron Gordon is
were they
draped
called a
all
foul?
over him.
And you didn't even touch him.
Yeah, like, and then
Other than when Jimmy Butler kicked his leg up to hit him.
yeah, there was some very questionable shot. It just didn't look good. They're already in the market, they say, to be star searching, and then it made me think of, because apparently a report came out. This kind of ties you back into Dallas here. A report came out that the Heat were working a deal with the Nets for Kyrie prior to the Mavericks.
I read that.
So, if you're the Heat and you want that genuine, able to get his own bucket, still facilitate guy, primary ball handlers who can make Jimmy Butler be a secondary ball handler who can be the star when he needs to be. Kyrie Irving would fit that mold if they can get along.
Yeah.
It would be a very quality fit. It would. If you're the Mavs, you don't want to lose Kyrie for nothing. would you take a sign and trade here? Because you're going to have to get pieces back, and then Heat are going to have, because there's some salary cap things going on in the league now, where we're about to see a bunch of trades, it sounds like, because of how this new salary setup is.
Mhm.
It's not a hard cap, but it's pretty close to a hard cap. Would you take back to help? It would take contracts back from the Heat of Duncan Robinson, who's not under the best of deal, but he gives you a spacing shooter who proved this season that he fixed his defensive issues. Throughout the playoffs, he played very good defense.
Yeah.
And a Tyler Hero, who could be a guy that he's won a Sixth Man of the Year. He can be a bucket getter to take pressure off of Luka, but would never be a guy that would take that star power out of Luka's hands, which we feel there's an ego thing that says Luka needs to feel like he's that guy. Would you take a package of those two guys as part of a sign and trade to facilitate Kyrie to Miami, but still be able to address bucket-getting three-point shooters who can play defense in Dallas?
Yeah. I mean,
I think it would make the Dallas Mavericks a better basketball
I would
team.
say yes, but also the fact that, I mean, Duncan Robinson's defense is still kind of sketchy.
Oh, for sure. He's not
and their
5
defense
stars
is
at it.
already bad. Like,
Oh,
so
for
I don't
sure.
know if adding another
But I think
bad
that-
defensive player is going to do much.
I think that he brings you, because the other problem that they had this year is that their defense got so bad that they also got to where they weren't hitting consistent shots. Duncan Robinson is a catch and shoot guy.
Yeah, he is.
He is. And Luka's going to get him more open looks than he ever got in Miami. And part of the reason he kind of fell out of grace this season was he wasn't hitting a shot. Well, if you go back and look at the beginning of the season, there weren't a lot of open shots for people to be had. The philosophy of how they play is totally different systems. I think that you bring him in, yes, you'd be taking maybe a little bit lesser defense in Robinson, and you'd have to take on his contract. But I think you could actually see more consistent production out of a Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero than you see out of a Tim Hardaway Jr. and
Yeah,
guy
I mean,
like that.
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
And so those are guys that I think would be that would be the kind of players I think you get back though. You're not going to get crazy high names, and you don't have to worry about signing Hero.
Yeah.
Hero's under his poison pill year, so he's getting his extension kicking in next season. Duncan Robinson's got 3 years, $68 million left on his deal, so you're going to be dealing with that contract anyway. But you have some deals falling off the books if you're Dallas. If you're going to lose Kyrie, you don't want to lose him for nothing. So I think those would be quality guys to get, especially as you go into the draft.
Yeah. No, I can see what you're saying with that. It worries me with the defense is my main
sure.
worry
And I see
because
what
they're
you're saying.
already not good. Like they had one good year, not this past year, but the year before, and then this year I think really kind of showed that the year
They were
before
good.
was more than likely a blip.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I'm just trying to think of
Which
what
speaking
would get
of,
you back players.
I don't know if you saw, but Luka looked pretty skinny.
I haven't seen that.
He looked pretty skinny. But also, he looked pretty skinny last year during the offseason, too.
But he
it
also
seems like he puts on weight during the season. for
and
some
he was
reason.
playing a lot of basketball last year because he played all summer because of those European championships and things like that. So it'll be kind of wondering how his body is getting to recover.
Back on the championship. So this was something I thought was very interesting. I don't know if you read this, but Ish Smith,
Yes.
13 teams,
13 years got him a title.
went undrafted, 13 teams, 13 years. Now he's a champion.
He is a champion. DeAndre Jordan got a title before Blake Griffin or Chris Paul.
I don't really care too much about that
No,
because he
but
was a bench player.
He was, but he got one before those guys, and Blake Griffin's a bench player at this point in his career.
And
And Chris Paul's working his way there because he can't stand the hell of court. So the other one that was interesting though is Josh Green, or not Josh Green. Yeah, Josh Green. No, not Josh. Why am I with Jeff Green? Jeff Green that was drafted. So he was drafted by Seattle,
Okay.
stayed with Oklahoma,
Okay.
and then he had open
Yeah,
heart
that's not
surgery.
Okay. Now
Yes.
you're right.
He
That
was
was the
another
guy I
guy-
was thinking of.
He's
But
another travel around guy, but he had open heart surgery where they had to stop his heart for an entire minute. Fix it, get him back, and now he's been in the NBA for 16 years, played for 12 franchises, I believe it is, and he got him a ring, and he played minutes throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, that is
And
okay.
as a guy that was a Thunder, is a Thunder fan, and got to see him go through and know what he went through off the court, it was exciting to see him get his opportunity at a ring, even if it was before any of the big three of that team. Including Durant. Screw that guy.
Done things. There's another guy. Let me see, Christian Braun.
That's a cool story too.
Yeah. So he's basically been a champion for 5 years.
Yeah, he hasn't. No.
Yeah, he's
7
got
years.
three
Did he
state
play-
championships.
Did he play 3 years in college or 2?
Wait, he's only got one NCAA championship.
Yeah, but how long was he in college?
Oh, I'm sure like 3 years.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. If he
I'm
played
just
3 years,
saying
yeah.
he's got 5.
Oh yeah, kid's done.
So yeah, 3 state championships, an NCAA championship, and then the very next year after winning an NCAA championship,
He's
he won an
only
NBA
like the
championship.
3rd player I think they said that ever got drafted and then played quality minutes on a team that won the NCAA or the NBA finals the next year.
That's crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
But there was a lot of actually like good stories from this series.
Well, Bruce Brown was a key acquisition for the Nuggets this past offseason. He left, I can't remember where he was at, but the biggest problem they had for him was they couldn't figure out a role for him. They're like, he's a good basketball player, but we don't know a role for him. Mike Malone said, your role is be a good basketball player. Come play for me. And what did he do? He was a good basketball player. Where's Hyde?
And speaking of Thomas Bryant, he was on the Lakers. He asked, hey, just trade me over to Denver because I'm not doing anything here.
And well, the funny part was he got traded to Denver because he thought he would get more minutes.
Yeah.
And I think he actually played less minutes in Denver than he did
But
in
he got
Los
him.
Angeles.
He got
a title,
championship.
so he's happy.
So, with that being said, before we move on to talking about some other basketball stuff, the top 10 centers of all time. Where do you put Joker?
Ooh, all time?
Yeah, as of right now, where would you put Joker?
Let's see. He's behind Shaq. He's behind Wilt. He's behind Kareem. I would still put him. See, it's hard because they call him a power forward, but over half his career he was a center. So I look at Tim Duncan and I think of him as more.
He's power forward.
He is called a power forward for sure. Okay. I mean, his skill set, I'd have to say 4th or 5th.
So you'd put him over Bill Russell, Hakeem
No,
Olajuwon.
I can't put him over Russell or Hakeem. So 6th.
Moses Malone.
Okay, I'll keep him over Moses.
David Robinson.
That one was one I struggled bust on, but I keep him over because it's passing ability.
Patrick Ewing.
100%. Wasn't a winner.
George Mikan.
Yeah, I'd take Joker.
Okay.
So I have Joker with 6.
So at 6.
Yeah.
That's about where I would put him.
And
This list,
he still has
this
time
list
to
that
grow
I'm looking
this.
at, it's Run Your Pool. They actually have him at 9 behind Moses Malone, David Robinson, and Patrick Ewing.
I don't think he'll ever get above a 6 in my book though, because everyone above him was an elite scorer and defensive player.
Yes.
The thing is that he brings 2 elite facets to his game: distributing and scoring, rebound, hustle ability. That kind of goes in one in my eyes. But if he had to guard any of the guys ahead of him, Shaq's hanging 80 on him.
Oh, 100%.
Without a free throw,
1000%.
Shaq's hanging 80 on him. He might be Wilt probably is hanging just as many. He just can't defend. Bam went for 22 points a night in the title finals, and Bam's not a scorer. So don't get me wrong, he has his flaws that are glaring, but
Defense.
yeah, and that's why some of those guys behind him, I didn't see his Ewing could score, but his bag was shorter. His bag was all right here. A lot of those bigger guys, their bag was right there. So I like him at 6.
Yeah, that's actually, to be honest, that's exactly where I had him too. When I looked at the list and I seen that top 5, I was like, he's not going by them. And I was like, Moses Malone, yeah, but no, I'm not going to do that.
I would secure it more when he gets more time. I need to see him. His run has literally been 3 years.
I know, but
he was good before that. He should have 3. Let's be real.
So
if you can't look at the title,
already move him up.
I think that's one problem, and I guess I feel like the MVP award being voted before the playoffs is always kind of annoying to me. I feel like their playoff numbers should play into.
Yeah, but it's a regular season award. It's just like the football MVP.
Yeah, I guess, but
it's a regular season award.
I mean, yeah, and
but he was the better player.
They weren't gonna.
So that's why I feel they just didn't want to do it a third
They
year
don't
in
want to
a row.
give 3 in a row to anyone.
And
we don't know.
it's
We watched. There was an
ridiculous.
8-year run where we probably would have given it to the same guy every year. So they don't want to give the same person it. Steph had a run where he won 2, probably could have won 3. There's been a few guys that could have got 3 that didn't. I think they have a ghost cap on what they want to give guys. 4 to 5 for their careers about what they want to give them. I don't think they want anyone to get more than that. They want to share it because when they share it, it does make the league look deeper.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And so I can kind of see why they would have that until,
That's a good point.
this youngster comes in and takes the center position and wins 5 championships. For the Spurs, no doubt.
And, another thing was the fact that the Nuggets owner has now won a championship in 4 leagues.
This is true.
In 2 years.
Yeah, he got the NFL because he owns the Rams. He has the Avalanche in hockey, which are the favorite to win the title next year. So he might get another one.
The Colorado Mammoth.
Which I have no clue what that is.
It's NLL.
Once again,
is that football?
Frisbee golf? I mean, I really don't know.
But
We'll have
whatever they are, they won a championship, and then of course this year the Denver Nuggets, and
breaking a streak of, mind you, we just talked about the 6 years it took lacrosse. He won the national lacrosse championship.
Okay. Well, there you go.
The Nuggets were 48 years before they got a title, so spectrum opposite of what the Vegas Knights are.
Yeah.
Golden Knights.
It's everything about this finals was just, I don't know, man. It was just, everything about it was just right.
It was a good story.
There was just so much.
A lot of
story
headlines that could come from these finals for sure.
And so next thing that I want to talk about in basketball, so the Raptors hired a new assistant or new head coach, which was the Grizzlies assistant Darko Rajovic.
Because if you're anything that works for the Grizzlies, I'm jumping ship before your stock
you ain't
next
lying.
year.
Speaking of that, there's no Jaw news yet. Maybe we'll get that next week.
I would bet we hear after the parade Thursday.
Oh, that makes sense.
I would think they give them their full parade to celebrate, and then they probably give the team jet to Nikola Jokic because he wants to go take care of his horses.
Yeah. Then the final thing that I've got is the Wizards and Bradley Beal are working on a trade out.
Bradley Beal is rumored to get traded now. It sounds like the Portland Trailblazers want to keep Damian Lillard. It's always been the thing. It sounds like he's going to stay home. Zion whispers have now been coming on. I don't know what the market is for Zion because healthy, we know he's amazing. Not healthy is majority of the time.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. What does someone willingly give up to a guy that's already about to see his contract? He's already been signed for an extension, and he's played in less games than he's played in more. He's been hurt for more games than he's played in, and he's got off the court drama with baby mamas and porn stars.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he can get back.
Well, tell me how you like this transition here, okay?
Okay.
So we got Nikola Jokic winning his championship.
We do.
And then staying there in Serbia, we got Novak Djokovic becoming the first player ever to win 23 Grand Slams after winning the French Open.
This is it. Yeah, I like very smooth transition. Keeping the Serbian tie.
Yeah, keeping that Serbian tie
like
in, just to work in a little bit of tennis.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot to it.
There's not.
And I was like, you know what, this is the perfect setup.
It is because he just won the French Open, and then you have the U.S. Open this weekend in golf. So we're seeing major championships in some lesser talked about sports. But
let's talk a little bit about golf. I got some golf here, man.
We are going to slide in. We have some golf. The U.S. Open is this weekend. This is the first major event since the merger. Now the merger is still detailing out. It hasn't been as much crap talk as I was kind of hoping we'd hear. It's been kind of mum about some of the guys. You've heard some of the bigger name guys say that it's ridiculous. John Rahm has been a little outspoken from what I saw. But they're in Los Angeles, so traffic sucks there and everyone's constantly busy. So it's probably going to be, I think we'll hear storylines as they do post-round interviews. I'm sure people are going to ask. If you're not asking these, you are a crap reporter.
Well, see, so this is something that I caught on, was there's actually something going around right now where the golfers that stay, they may be getting some kind of equity into the new golf league, wherever it is.
Okay, that's
so they're going to be trying to make up a little bit for what the loss was.
That's good.
So that they can make something. So I did see that. I don't know how far they're getting into it, but I did read that they're working on possibly doing
And
that.
I know that it looks like they've increased the prize pool for the U.S. Open to the biggest it's ever been.
Okay.
It's
That's
like
good.
a $20 million prize pool now.
Wow.
So that they're trying to start making that adjustment. So we'll see how that goes before they literally. Because I want to be honest, last week when it all started down, I wouldn't be shocked if we're about to see a new golf league. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of the show Full Swing. Okay, so Netflix started a show last year called Full Swing, and it started as this separation started. It is literally where they're following golfers around during practice rounds, and
Interesting.
it's like a Real Housewives of golf. And they're like, and when the news broke, instantly on the Full Swing Twitter, they said, "You best believe our cameras were rolling." And so season 2 is going to have some fire because these guys are going to be lively getting microphone when they find out this bad news. And it's in the deal that what you say gets recorded and you know it. So I can only imagine I don't even know who's on the show, but what a Rory or someone said, the F words and the shit that they said. Woo, boy, it made me want to go back and watch Full Swing. So there will be definitely some interesting stuff coming on that.
Well, so how much of the Canadian Open did you?
Canadian Open?
Yeah, which was this past weekend.
That was I saw how it ended because they had like that a crazy 4 playoff overtime.
Yeah. So the day on day 2, Matt Kuchar hit a 51-foot putt, and I was like, okay, I'm writing this down because that's a pretty long putt.
Yeah.
Well, and then the next day, Adam Long hits a 73-foot putt, and I was like, okay, maybe
We're gonna one up.
Yeah,
We're gonna one up.
Never mind that, and I was like, that's probably going to be the biggest storyline from this. No, it's not.
It's the winning putt.
It's the winning putt, the one where the security guard tackles
Another pro golfer.
PGA pro golfer, Adam Hadwin,
Who's he is a Canadian-born golfer who was just excited that another Canadian-born golfer had won the tournament.
Yeah.
And he
He
tackled
got
him.
leveled.
Oh, that's great.
But the good thing to come out of this is Nick Taylor, the guy that won. He's the first Canadian to win this, the Canadian Open.
It's like when we watched
69
Andy Murray.
years.
It's like when Andy Murray won the first. When Andy Murray won the first Wimbledon by an English tennis player in like it was like 80 something years, and like when Andy Murray won, oh my God, the Queen was there. Like it was just this eruption of people, and like he was jumping on the stand. You'd have sworn he won an NBA championship winning Wimbledon was that important to him. So that was pretty cool. So it's cool to see countrymen win their country's event.
Yeah. Especially when it's been something that long.
Oh yeah, that's a long time. I got great grandparents that have never seen a Canadian win that kind of thing. At the pace they're going, they won't see an NHL team win a title. So.
I mean,
so
all the Canadian players are on different teams.
this is true. Starting tomorrow though, the U.S. Open will start, and we'll get scores, and we'll know who wins it come next time's episode. So that rolls off into that, and then if we're in championships. The next big championship that we have going on, we touched on the Women's Softball World Series. Now we will be transitioning into the Men's College Baseball World Series. There are 8 teams left. I'm going to say the one that probably is going to heartbreak my partner in here in the last. But Florida's in. TCU has been playing lights out baseball. They're in. Virginia, Wake Forest, your current number 1 team in the nation. LSU, Oral Roberts, Tennessee, and then Stanford.
Not Texas.
And if you don't know how Stanford got in, would you like to tell them or would you like me to tell them?
They beat Texas.
They beat Texas on the most it was this like I don't even like Texas, and it was the saddest way to watch a kid lose a championship ever, especially because someone who's played outfield most of his life.
Not only that, but they broke a streak of, I think it was like 87 years or something like that, of Texas. No, it wasn't 87. It might have been 37 years of Texas making the College World Series.
Was it something that long?
Yeah.
I know they've been to the most World Series of anybody, and they're the second most championships of anyone.
That broke the record of their streak.
Now Texas was the underdog going into the game, but in case you don't know, the series went to 3 games. It's a best of 3 in the Super Regionals, And in the bottom of the 9th inning with runners on second and 2 outs, the hitter for Stanford skied one. And you see the center fielder drift a little to the right, or the left, you see the right fielder drift a little to the right, and then all of a sudden you see them both just stand there and go hands up like this. And they're like, uh-oh. And you see the ball fall about 20, 30 yards to the left of the right fielder, being up off the ground. Stanford scores the game-winning run. Because if it was Major League sports or pro sports, it's a laugh-it-off kind of thing for me. Even if I don't care for the University of Texas, I understand that there's kids on that field that will never get to play that game again, and I've lived that feeling.
Yeah.
My heart hurts for those kids because, especially the one who should have had it, he can't help that he couldn't see the ball. He couldn't see it. He couldn't see it. Damn.
Well, to break up the bad news, here's the good news. The Texas Longhorns track and field are national champions.
They were. I saw
That's
that.
right,
They
baby.
did
First
win
time
national
since
championship.
2005. But hey, that means that they are now in second place of all time of national champions for track and field.
Well,
Now
they're now a volleyball and track
they're-
school because they're not a football school anymore.
they're 9 wins away or 10 wins away from overtaking first place.
Who's
but
in first?
I don't remember because I didn't write it down. I forgot.
Okay. Well, we'll
I
have to
think it was Michigan. It was someone with 14 wins, and I was like, Jesus Christ. No, it was LSU. It was LSU.
Hey.
It was, and you know what? It was in the Big 12 anyway.
Speaking of LSU, with Omaha coming up, I have a list here of the 15 biggest prospects because coming in a few weeks after the College World Series ends, we have the Major League Draft, which is literally the same dates as the All-Star Game, which I also have some information about. So we'll just run through the top 5 because, well, locally the Rangers have the 5th pick.
Yeah.
So the top 5 players to watch, I have the whole 15, but top 5 players to watch are Dylan Cruz, LSU. He's basically everyone's unanimous number 1 pick. He's the Victor Wembanyama of baseball. Everyone's just been like, this kid's gonna be it.
He's the Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
of this
Then you've got Wyatt Langford, an outfielder out of Florida. He didn't have a solid year as a hitter as a freshman, but he blew up this last season, hitting 42 home runs and a 373 batting average. So he's getting a lot of love. Number 3 would be Paul Skeens, the pitcher out of LSU. This kid's 6'6", 250.
Jesus.
Throws a 98-mile-an-hour slider with a fastball that can top over 100. At his last college, he transferred to LSU this year.
Mm-hmm.
He hit also, but at LSU they didn't need him to hit because they're so good. So there's talk that when he gets to the minors, he's gonna want to showcase his hitting again to show he can be Ohtani. We're probably not gonna see that, but his comparison right now is Justin Verlander. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, then you've got Kyle Teal, the catcher from Virginia. Catcher's a weak position in baseball, but especially for hitting most of the time. Well, this kid hit 415.
So we got Mike Piazza coming up.
We got a kid that can put the bat on the ball and he can do
Okay.
it well. And he only struck out 12% of his at-bats. So he puts the ball in play. Other than that, we've got a kid out of Wake Forest that seems to have some nasty stuff. And there's a few other guys
We
down
need
here.
another player out of Wake Forest.
Yeah. TCU has a third baseman. He's 9th on this list. His name is Braden Taylor, someone to look out for. He's your number. He could be someone that I don't think you see the Rangers look at a TCU third baseman, considering they're pretty stacked at third base.
Mm-hmm. I'd say so.
Going off of that, their third baseman is number 2 in the American League in the All-Star voting. Have you had a chance to look at any of the All-Star voting
I
stuff?
did.
You
I
did.
did.
So if you haven't seen the starters, I have the starters. I'll go American League first because that's hometown for the show, and then I'll go National League. Catching is Adley Rutschman. Behind him, Jonah Heim and Salvador Perez. I looked at the numbers. I think Salvador Perez has it.
Okay.
Salvador Perez has the same batting average as both of them, but he has 14 home runs to one's 8 and one's 7. He has less RBIs, but the Royals are trash.
Yeah.
So how's he going to drive and run? So it sounds like the popular pick, but I'm sorry, Salvador Perez has been the best catcher in the American League for the last 10 years.
And I love that the Royals came out and said, we're not trading Salvador. He's retiring a Royal. And he said, good. He's got his title.
There you go.
He's the exception to the rule for a lot of guys. Like, he doesn't have to leave the title. He won one in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'd freaking retire there too. They're going to think you're a god. First base, Vlad Guerrero, Yandy Diaz, Anthony Rizzo. Guerrero's in the lead on the fan vote because the fans get it wrong. Yandy Diaz is currently third in MVP voting. So I'm going to say that I think Yandy Diaz deserves it. Anthony Rizzo is fourth because he's a Yankee. I think Nate Lowe has better numbers, and he's your Texas Ranger sitting at fourth, so there you go.
Yeah.
Second base, Marcus Semien, Texas Ranger. Behind him, Altuve, who missed most of the season with a broken face.
I know, it's so stupid.
That's why fans shouldn't be allowed to vote for All-Stars. I'm sorry, we get it wrong. I mean, friends, I don't, because I look at the numbers and, like, break down. No bias aside, when I vote for an All-Star ballot, I pick the 3 guys in the outfield in each position that I think is having the best season, or just that's what this reward's for.
Yeah.
Some of these guys get bonuses off this stuff,
Right.
so
Okay.
I take it into account. Third base though, Matt Chapman, Josh Young, Rafael Devers, then Alex Bregman. Josh Young should be starting over Chapman. Chapman started in Fuego. He started the season batting like .335, but if you go and look over their last 20 games, Chapman's batting 195. Josh Young's batting Josh Young's batting like 325, and so their averages are about, I think Josh Young's average is now like 10 points higher than Chapman's because of how bad Josh Young's played the last like month. So I would think it should be. Then you've got Bo Bichette and then Corey Seager. Corey Seager's been a stud, but it should be Bo Bichette. He leads the American League in hits, batting average. The kid's been a stud, and we know Seager's not 100% healthy yet from the hamstring, so he'll be an all-star, though. His numbers are ridiculous. He's batting like 365 at shortstop. Ohtani, do we even care about the other options?
No.
DH. Miguel Cabrera is 7th in his farewell season. I have a feeling Miguel Cabrera, if there's no other Tigers worthy, Miguel Cabrera gets in because they love to give the veterans that farewell, and I think this will be his farewell on the national stage. So, probably still see him get in. Top 3 outfielders, Judge, Trout, Yordan Alvarez. Which is funny to me because Alvarez is more of a DH, but they put him in the outfield. Do you think Randy Arozarena should be in? Because he's kind of leading the best, been one of the better players on the best record in baseball.
I mean, maybe.
8th is also a rookie when it comes to the Rookie of the Year voting. 8th in the outfield voting right now is Matsutaka Yoshida, the kid that was a stud for Japan in the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He is batting like
Who does he play for?
He's batting like 312 for the Red Sox.
Red Sox?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're having a resurgent year, largely because they get this kid to come in and start balling out for them. Typical Red Sox.
Yeah.
So, American League voting is looking pretty fun. Then you've got Sean Murphy, former A. Wait, I'm going to bring him up last.
Okay.
Because I want to talk A's baseball again.
Yeah, we definitely need to.
Freddie Freeman's in, Luis Arraezia, Nolan Arenado. And, for the most part, the fans actually did a decent job. I'll give you y'all's credit. Orlando Arcia from the Braves. JD Martinez, he's over Bryce Harper, who's been hurt. It's impressive he's playing with one arm, but Martinez has better numbers. Acuna, Betts, and Lordy Rudial. I think Juan Soto's too high, and I like Juan Soto usually. And Nick Castellanos getting snubbed, because if you go look, Nick Castellanos 9th on this list, and he's batting like 285 with 15 home runs, and there's dudes in front of him batting 225.
Oof.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll, the rookie for the Diamondbacks, he's currently 3rd in the National League voting for MVP, like projecting, and they have him as the 5th ranked outfielder. So don't tell me that there's not a fan problem in the outfield there.
And that's the only thing that I hate is because you see it all over Facebook. Hey, vote for this guy.
Oh,
to be
yeah.
an all-star. You're like, all it is just popular vote, and that's it.
Oh, for sure.
Nothing else.
So now the name I want to go back to. The name I want to go back to is Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is the starting catcher for the Atlanta Braves. He just signed an extension with the Atlanta Braves. Sean Murphy, who is teammates with now Matt Olson, who is also a former Oakland Athletic, are guys the Braves traded for, and from the A's, who
The A's hosted what I think might be the coolest protest as a fan base I've ever seen. And it couldn't have come at a more better time. Because remember, we've talked on this show how historically bad the A's started. The A's don't even have the worst record in baseball anymore. The A's
they sure don't.
They don't.
Wow.
The A's have now won 7 games in a row after last night. I don't know if they're playing tonight or not. If they are, they're probably going to lose because when we talk about streaks, they break. But the A's traded Sean Murphy. They traded Matt Olson. They've let Barry Zito walk in the past. They let Miguel Tejada walk. The A's have a history of letting big name guys walk. The owner of the A's his excuse was always Oakland's a small market. Oakland fans. They played 840
against the Rays.
Okay. The owner of the A's is not a broke man. His name is John Fisher. He's a billionaire who refuses to put money into the team. And if you don't realize it, the A's are actually one of the most storied franchises in baseball. If you go back and look, we're talking Mark McGwire, what's the closer? Raleigh Finger. There's a list of guys. Like, there's a long list of athletics that have been really good players. So their protest was, we're going to prove that we're not the problem.
Jose Canseco.
They packed the stadium like it was a playoff game last night. Put 28,000 people into a regular season game, which worked out great because they were on a winning streak, in which the final score was 1-0. So you get that playoff atmosphere kind of game against Tampa Bay, the best record in baseball. And they went out and did that. And then at the 5th inning start, they had, I've never seen 28,000 people be on the same page so well. And I don't know who told them all to do it, but they all got silent and then started, sell the team in unison. It was magical because honestly, what we're watching this guy do is Major League, the movie. He's literally saying, if I suck bad enough, the city will let me out of my lease and I can move to Vegas.
Yeah.
He's literally doing what the Cleveland Indians did in the movie. Like, it's happening.
I never even thought of that.
It's 100% that.
Oh my goodness.
And he's just like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to get out from having the A's be in this crappy market. Because I guarantee you the minute he goes to Las Vegas, what's he going to do? He's going to turn into the freaking owner of the Mets. And he's going to start buying everybody up to prove that it was Oakland that made them suck. No, it's your cesspool of a stadium that the Raiders left because the city wouldn't help upgrade. It's the lack of money that you'll spend. It's the trading all-star catchers. It's the trading all-star first baseman. It's Jason Giambi. It's Jason Isringhausen. It's all those Moneyball teams. Like, yes, there's some bullshit to the Moneyball movie. It's a good movie, but there's some bullshit to it. But there's also some facts. He wouldn't budge on Jason, what's his name? Not Jason Giambi, the outfielder, Johnny Damon.
Yeah.
The Yankees' offer to Johnny Damon was only a $7 million difference. And Damon even said, I would have stayed in Oakland if they'd have matched the $7 million. But he didn't feel like they cared enough because they said, here's our hard number, we won't pass it, ownership said so. So, more and more, I'm on the side of the A's, and I'm starting to think because of how John Fisher, this dude, is handling this, we're seeing the beginning of the next Cleveland Browns.
It's very possible.
Where they move, a year later they realize, shit, and there's an expansion franchise popping up in Oakland, getting all the history, and then the A's of Vegas, who I would assume rebrand.
I would assume so.
Start their own franchise history, the whole 9 yards starts over, and they were the expansion team that just took the A's farm system, the A's start over new. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's pretty crazy. Explaining it that way. But yeah.
So if you've never seen Major League, go watch Major League. 1, you'll laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
2, you'll realize that John Fisher and the showgirl that owned the Indians, in that movie there, it's still the Indians, are the same person.
That's why I didn't correct you. I was like, you are right on that.
I'm right on that one. I get my call there. So, other than that, there's been the Rangers are in a slide right now for the local touch.
Largely because starting pitching is letting them down. Their bullpen
Their
is
bullpen?
gassed, and well, the bullpen's gassed. They had to call up Owen White to start against the Angels, who wasn't ready for big league action yet, because they just didn't have anyone to start because of John Gray got hurt or had a blister, had to miss a start. Martin Perez has not been nearly as good as he was last year, and Richie Cole, you don't watch this, but I'm going to tag you in this to watch this. Told you it was anomalous last year. He's not that good. He has never been that good. He's always been the guy that can start hot, have a good run. Even last year, he started with a 2.01 ERA and ended the season with like a 2.94. Like he was almost back in the threes because it just started to creep its way up. So, no, I wouldn't. The Rangers, if they're going to contend, I think we're going to have to make a move for starting pitching. But
Yeah. Oh,
I don't-
They definitely have to.
I don't think that it'll be. But they have the 4th pick in the draft, so maybe they can get help there.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's very possible.
So it'll be fun. That's my baseball world.
I mean, I have one little more nugget.
What you got?
And it's not even for professional baseball. It's actually what you hit on earlier. Just kind of skipped over it. Just because we talked about it last week, and I just wanted to bring it back up about OU softball, how they ended up winning. So they extended their streak to 53.
Did.
And then after that, this
Oh,
is
yes.
why I wanted to bring it up.
Jordan Ball.
Yes. So they lost their ace, Jordy Ball, who is going back home to Nebraska to pitch there. Like that. That was. She allowed 5 runs in 276 innings, and she also hit 58 home runs in 2 years for the Sooners.
Yeah.
So they're losing a
she's
powerhouse.
stud. And the other thing that's funny about that is that there was reports that they weren't going to have their yearly camp this year because of something going on, and it's right before she announced it, they confirmed they would be having their yearly camp. A lot of people that thought, because the top players in the world in the nation go to the OU camp because it's freaking OU. They think that because the coach was like, we got to make sure this happens because we're losing Jordan Ball, and I need to make sure I can see players to start trying to replace her.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's a huge loss because she's a stud.
Yeah. That was my only thing that I had on it.
No,
But
for sure.
that was
super
a
notable.
big thing. And then before we move on to the other like bigger topics, it's crazy that I'm bringing this up, but soccer. I have like one little thing on it. The seeds are set for the UCL draw, or some of the seeds, not all of them.
Okay, the Champions League draw.
So pot 1, you have Man City, Sevilla, Barcelona, Napoli, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain,
PSG. That's what they call
PSG.
them. That's where Messi
Benfica?
is leaving, and that's where the kid that plays for France, I believe it was, in the World Cup. That was a freaking stud. Can't remember his name all of a sudden now. So who he plays for?
Okay. And then
Man City will win.
Benfica and Feyenoord. In
Okay.
pot 2, you've got Real Madrid, Man U, Inter Milan,
United.
Borussia, Atletico Madrid, RB Leipzig,
She
FC
loves some of these
Porto,
names.
and Arsenal. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because of pot 2, where Real Madrid and Borussia are both in this pot, and they just agreed to transfer Jude Bellingham, who was with Borussia, is now going to be with Real Madrid.
Just
They're
in
going to
time
be
to play against
against
each
each
other.
other.
That's cool. Transfer season or the transfer portals. It's a very interesting dynamic that they have in transferring for soccer, but it's kind of fun. Like it's kind of like how U.S. or Major League Baseball does the Japanese baseball players, where you got to pay that postage fee and then you pay the player.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's cool. They also do a really cool thing in soccer that it would be cool if they did this in the America's sports. But you won't see it because we don't have enough leagues. They do a loan. You ever heard of a loan?
I think we talked about this last week, didn't we?
I know we talked about some of the things. I don't know if we ever went into what a loan was.
Oh, okay, go
So
ahead.
a loan is say Everton, bottom of the table Premier League team, sometimes gets relegated and then fights their way back. They call up Manchester United and they go, hey, Manchester United, you know Jeffrey Bakwa, that 17-year-old kid that's on your bench that never gets to play? yeah, we want to get him from y'all in a loan, in which we will pay his salary, but he's still your player, and whenever you want him back, just call us and we'll give him back to you, but we want to loan him for a year.
Huh.
Okay, cool. I don't have anywhere for him to play. It's basically allowing another MLS or major or European Premier League team to develop your player for you because he's still under your books. You own his rights.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And
I
then
like that.
they can transfer. And then you call them up and go, "Hey, we've had 6 people get injured, and we need a striker, and you have our guy. We're retracting the thing. Pay a different fee, and boom, you get him back."
Okay, that's
Yeah, it's super common in like overseas. You don't see it as much in America, but there is. Like, if you ever play FIFA and you need to figure out how to make your crappy MLS team good, go get loans from all the good prospects from the English Premier League and all those leagues, and then you'll win the MLS, and then you can move on to a new team. That's how you make your franchise team good.
All right. So before we get into the NFL, the one last thing that I wanted to bring up is actually UFC/boxing, and there was actually some pretty good stuff in this. Part of the UFC thing that I was going to bring up is the fact that Conor McGregor knocked out the mascot
for the Heat.
and ended up going into the hospital and everything.
Yeah.
That I thought was funny. Then we got to talk about the Lioness. She won her final match.
She did.
And retired a double champion.
Her name is, say it for me,
Amanda Nunes.
Amanda Nunes. I'm saying. I know one thing that's coming in the world of fighting. That's all I know.
Well,
I'm sure you're gonna talk about it.
oh yeah, no, I wasn't going to talk about it just because it's so far out. But
it was officially announced, so I figured you'd say that.
I should have done it. But with her final fight, going back and looking, she ended her pro record with a 12-5 record, but she technically only had 2 losses in the UFC. One of them was to Kat Zingano, and then the other one was to Julia Pena, who she ended up beating to get her title back.
Okay.
And this last fight was actually supposed to be Pena again, but Pena broke her ribs training, so they had to sub someone else in. And that's why this fight was a little bit more heavier for her, for Nunes to kind of win.
Yeah.
Just because it was someone that subbed in late and it wasn't anyone that
they
really...
probably didn't get a full training session and everything else.
And what I thought was cool is I went back to look to see all the information on this. And so when Nunes won the bantamweight championship, she's been the champion in the bantamweight since 2016.
Oh my, that's a
Yeah.
long time.
And then of course she won the oh my goodness, the featherweight. So she won the featherweight in 2018.
Okay.
Or, take it back. Let's go with 2016. So she won the bantamweight by beating Miesha Tate in 2016. She became the first openly gay champion. And then she knocked out Rousey in 48 seconds. Then she knocked out Holly Holm.
Who beat Rousey the first time.
Yeah. And then we go to where she won the featherweight, is where she knocked out Chris Cyborg in 51 seconds. And since then, she was the champion.
Well, all right.
And
apparently, she reminds me a lot of early days of what's her name, knocking people out that quick. What's her name? Used to win all of her fights. The one that she's in Expendables, which we'll talk about tonight. She's also in Fast and the Furious. I actually saw her in one of those. We just said her name out loud. That you just said she got knocked out in 43 seconds.
That wasn't Miesha Tate.
No, not Miesha Tate.
It's Gina Carano.
No, you said her name.
Ronda Rousey?
Ronda Rousey.
Oh.
Yes, that's how Ronda Rousey won all her fights when she first
No, she was submitting people.
Yeah, wasn't knocking out, but she was still winning them in 35 seconds. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
That's why she lost as soon as she fought Holly Holm, who stayed out of her grip. It's like,
No.
I
The
gotta
problem
throw it
with
in.
that one was she got so in her head that I think I forgot to get that again. That she got so in her head that she was just such a badass that I'm gonna beat her in her style. and that's why she got beat.
Yeah.
If she would have stuck to her own style, she probably still would have beat her. But she decided she's such a badass that she's going to beat Holly Holm in the way that she fights, and she got whooped.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. She
So
just kept choking people. You
the
were
boss,
really good at that.
the bossing element of this, is twofold here. So the first one that I want to talk about is Teofimo Lopez. He ended up winning this weekend against Josh Taylor. And what I thought was crazy is he landed 158 punches, right?
Okay.
138 of them were power punches.
Swinging for the fences. I like
So
it.
only 20 of them were not power punches. Now, this kid is only 25 years old.
Oh snap!
He has got a 19-1 record with 14 knockouts.
So he well, I mean, throwing that many power punches, he's going for the kill.
And he retired after the match.
Damn.
Or the next day on and live with
mean-
Max Kellerman, he retired.
I mean, he's only 25. He probably has other things he wants to do.
That's what he said. He was like, "There,
What does he have to prove?
there's other things that I want to do." And what's crazy
And if it
is
sucks, he
the,
can always go
the
back.
one fight that he ended up losing was to Cambosos, and during that match, he ended up getting pneumomediatism, which is extensive air in the respiratory space. And they said he's lucky he didn't even die.
I would have
And
retired
so-
after that fight.
So he ended up losing that fight, and never got to fight him again. Of course, the guy that he beat ended up beating Cambosos for the championship. So he went to fight that guy and beat him this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he retired champion. And then I don't know if you saw what happened with the Mayweather and Gotti fight.
Mayweather was gonna fight again.
is what is it?
Promotional charity fight.
Basically a charity, yeah, an exhibition.
Okay.
So the ref stopped the fight because Mayweather was beating up on Gotti,
Didn't even know that was happening.
and then it broke out into a brawl. Because after it was stopped, Gotti was mad and started trying to swing at Mayweather. Mayweather popped him. So I'm gonna go after the dude that just whooped me and try to fight him and got popped.
Golly.
But what you're talking about is probably going to be the best fight in the last.
It'll be.
I don't know.
And it's not even. It's happening so quick. I don't even feel like they're marketing it like they could. Like.
Yeah.
They announced it very recently. It was,
Yeah.
And then, but if you don't know, it's local product. Earl Spence
Spence
Jr.
versus Terrence Crawford.
Terrence Crawford, and I don't know much about boxing, but I know those two. One, they don't get along. Two, we've been waiting for them to fight for 5 years now, and three, it's finally happening.
And it's being compared to Leonard Spinks, is what it's being compared to.
Wow, I don't know who
Which
that
is-
is. So. Leonard Spinks?
Leonard and Spinks.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I mean, is it like when we got to finally see Pacquiao fight Mayweather, but they were
No,
they were both 10 years past their prime?
In a recent fight, I would say Canelo and Triple G.
All right, I know those guys. We're all back on my map.
So that would be that would be something that's a little more recent that would be comparable.
Okay.
But like this is like going to be that fight.
Yeah,
This is going to be
and I know that
that
I
fight.
believe it's Crawford that if he wins will be the first in this area or era to win 2 belts in 2 different weight divisions or 2
Oh, okay. I
different.
didn't know that.
Like he
Okay.
gets, I believe it's Crawford that if he wins, he's gonna have 2 championships in 2 weight divisions across 2 different sanctions or something. So
Okay.
it's a bit. There's a bunch on the line for both of them, obviously, and they've already started the introduction press conference was a plethora of crap talk, but neither one of them were good trash talkers. You know, you ever hear people that talk trash, but they're not good at it, where they're like, "Your mom's a girl." That's kind of what they sounded like, but I
So
know. I
there
know who
wasn't
they
no
are.
Mayweather Conor McGregor.
No, no. Like Conor McGregor is the king of the shit talk. Like,
Yeah.
you lose or not, he gets the
He's
trash
gonna
talk
sell it.
battle.
He's gonna
Yeah.
sell it. So.
That's why him and McGregor or Mayweather made so much money.
Yeah.
so
All right, now we're jumping into football, and
Yeah.
before we get to the NFL, we'll talk about the XFL
yeah,
because
it was a rough run for The Rock. Like,
yeah, XFL lost $60 million dollars
Might be
this
70
season,
jobs.
and some jobs were cut. But from what I read, and like whenever I saw this, I did a little bit of digging just because I couldn't just go, oh, they lost $60 million, so next year they're probably going to be done. So they actually expected to take a pretty big loss this year because it's the first year.
Exactly.
They're still trying to figure
Any
things out.
founding
You got to get
business,
everything running.
You never make money the first year you start
Yeah.
a business. So they should have anticipated a loss.
Yeah, so they were expecting there to actually be a big loss, but Dwayne or The Rock, sorry, and Danny Garcia, who are basically like the two co-owners.
Yeah, the faces of
yeah.
ownership.
They believe that at least by next year or year 3, it'll be profitable.
And that's showing that they have
Yeah.
a true plan. Because
Yeah.
if they're talking about year 3, that means they have a plan in place to show them. So that's awesome.
Yeah, they have $20 million in income coming in. They have come just from ESPN, from airing the
Okay,
games.
so that'll help cut the deficit.
They have sponsorship with Progressive. They have sponsorship with Under Armour. Like they have all this stuff, and then they're trying to get more
Their
in.
sponsorship with Under Armour comes directly from the line that The Rock has,
Yes,
which he
yeah.
has a Under Armour line of his own.
But they do believe that at least by year 3, this will be like turned around.
I just
completely.
like that they have a plan of that because it didn't feel like when they did it last time that there was a plan like that.
I think last time they just expected that, hey,
It was
it's
just
XFL, we're going to
successful.
do it.
It was it was crazy to think that you thought you could start a business, whether you use that business model name or not, and just be successful. Like
Yeah.
there's gonna be struggles in starting a business. Most businesses go 3 to 5 years before they ever genuinely start turning a true I'm comfortable to sit on it profit, where versus a I'm covering business expenses profit.
Yeah.
So that'll be that'll be fun to see them keep tracking it. I know there's a few things going on in the NFL. It's still technically slow season. We've got some
Yeah.
fun stuff going on with OTAs. I think the most interesting OTA story is probably what's going on in Buffalo. Would you say?
I would say so.
I would say
Like,
what's
it's,
going on in
it's
Buffalo
very
right
weird.
now. Yeah,
Very
because
weird.
if you don't know, Stephon Diggs, there was rumors that he was kind of getting unhappy at the playoff game after the loss, that he wanted out, or he was frustrated with how he left. He didn't do an exit interview. You fast forward in the off season, and he's like, "Oh, we're fine. Me and Josh Allen are buddies. Me and this and that." Then you go to the last week, and he's at practice Monday. Then he's not at practice Tuesday, but he is at practice.
He was at practice early in the day, and then he
Yeah.
left.
Then so he showed up, then he left, and then the coach comes out and says it's very concerning what's going on with Stephon. And then Stephon gets on Twitter and goes, "Let them say what they want, no cap," or whatever that means. So he's saying,
No.
like
It's
someone's
basically what
he thinks someone's lying. So is there a beef between him and the coach? Because if there's a beef between him and the coach, if the coach makes your quarterback better, then Stephon Diggs is getting traded. Whether they need wide receiving help still or not,
Yeah.
you can't keep him on the team being a cancer in the locker room, even if he does make the team better. And so, but then he came back today, and they say that it's all squashed, everybody's okay.
It's just playground drama.
Yeah, so,
It's some really
but
weird
then
stuff.
you've got his brother, Trayvon, going on Facebook saying 2 weeks ago that he posted a tweet that said, someone put, Stephon, come to Dallas with your brother, and he commented, "We're working on it," and then he deleted it. But it was out there long enough for us to know that he was stirring shit. And so there's interesting stuff going on there. I doubt that we actually see Stephon Diggs get traded this year. If it happened, maybe next year.
I would
Even if
say
it's a cut situation similar to what Hopkins is doing, which sounds like Hopkins might be signing in the next 24 to 48 hours.
it does kind of sound like he's going to end up in New England.
And that's what I heard too. So apparently he's a glutton for bad situations.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the two teams that he's visited right now is Tennessee and New England.
In
so
New England.
like you're kind of
yeah, and so
you're on the good end of at least.
yeah, you have a better. I mean, you're still the 4th best team in that division.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
now largely because that division is ridiculously stacked. But it sounds like they reports coming out of New England are that they think he'll have a deal signed before he leaves New England, which means he'll just stay in New England because they're in the middle of mandatory OTAs. So sounds like he'll end up going somewhere. Dalvin Cook's
a free
So-
agent.
This is what I want to get into. All right, I've got written down right now. Are we close to seeing the death of the running back position? How close are we?
I think it's becoming running backs and receivers that are gonna start in the next 5 to 7 years. Essentially, start seeing it be almost like we see positionless basketball, where
So-
we just start seeing guys fluently playing along these things
I
as
say that.
playmakers being playmakers.
But the reason why I'm bringing this up. So Saquon is talking about
Holding
he
out
could possibly hold out.
because he still hasn't signed his franchise tag.
Josh Jacobs still hasn't signed his franchise tag,
I did not realize that one.
and now you got Dalvin Cook that got cut.
He did.
You have Zeke who got cut. You have all these big and I know Zeke is
I was gonna say
already
he's big.
but Zeke is still
Zeke-
young. He's just had injuries.
Yeah, and
So,
he's
and
kinda
this is-
fallen off.
this is
Dalvin
what I'm
Cook was
talking
still
about.
very productive last season.
Even with injuries, which he's
Chronic
constantly
shoulder
had.
issues.
So even though he had surgery on it, I guarantee he's going to have some issues.
Yeah.
But this is why I bring up the death of the running back position, because at some point you're going to start seeing players look at that position and go, if I play this position, they're only going to give me 1 year before they move on, or not 1 year, but one contract before they move on.
I think that's why you saw a guy like Debo Samuel make such a big deal about making sure he got his
About
extension.
that, or running back
Because
receiver
if you're
thing,
going to use
yeah.
me in that hybrid role, that's fine, but you're going to pay me now before you try to peg me in a box,
Yeah.
limiting it, because I am going to
So,
take more hits.
I'm worried that we're going to end up going to an NFL where we're not going to see running backs anymore, because they're going to phase it out in a way, because no one's going to want to play it. Because you're
doubt-
shortening your career playing back there, because you're taking more hit than anyone else.
Yeah, and you're seeing it.
And you're
already
getting
seeing
less
it.
money.
Kids not want to play the position in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone wants to be a quarterback or receiver. You don't want to be an offensive lineman, but eventually you get put in that peg as it's a required thing. But you're seeing less parents want their kid to play the running back position.
I mean, there are professional running backs now that are telling their kids, I don't want you to play running back.
yeah.
Like that's when you see that and you hear that, that's a major thing. Like I almost feel like in 10 years, I don't think there will be a running back position anymore.
I mean, there still has to be someone back there though for running the ball. I just think that you'll like we said. I think it
there will
ends
be.
it.
I think they'll
Running
just-
the ball is still too integral to the game in
Not
some
really.
aspect. You
Not
got
really.
teams like the Falcons that roll with running the ball.
Yeah, look at their record.
Tennessee,
Look at their record.
well, they sucked last year, but the years before that, they were pretty solid running the ball behind Derrick.
That's because they had a really good offensive line. They had a good defense still.
Your Dallas Cowboys are trying to stream their whole offense around running the ball this season.
And they're stupid. Because it's a dying thing to have. Like you're
Yeah.
going into you're the league. The teams that are winning are not running the ball. They're running the ball some, but they're not running the ball the way that.
But if you don't have the
The
elite,
Falcons,
if you don't
the
have the
Cowboys
elite
want to, the
passer,
Titans.
then you have to protect your lesser passer by running the ball.
Yes, but at the same time, you're not going to win anything anyway.
True.
You're going to suck.
So, but yeah,
That brings me down to teams that suck. Talk about the Browns. They got a new logo,
they did. It's pretty cool.
and I like it.
If
And
you haven't seen it, it's on our Facebook page, Welcome My Experience.
yeah, and it is very cool with how detailed this thing is. There are 8 things hidden in that logo.
Oh, I didn't zoom in that close.
So, the state of Ohio is on the dog's ear.
Huh.
It's one of the colors over there. That's one of the dog's ears.
Okay.
There's a football. It's the nose. So you got the nose is a
Okay.
football, and then it's got the nostrils underneath, but it's a football.
Gotcha.
The east end zone of the dog's collar includes the letter C, which is a tribute to where the dog pound originated.
Okay.
Which, if you look real close, like you have the C right there,
Uh-huh.
and then that top little part up there, that's where it originated. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
the dog pound
Yeah.
in the end zone.
I'm pulling it up now, too.
And then you have the guitar pick in the collar,
Okay, yes.
so to represent the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then you have the spikes All 8 spikes represent the championships that the Browns have.
Okay.
You have the Guardian Bridge, which is the outline of the Hope Memorial Bridge and the dog's jowls. So that part right there,
Okay.
that's the Memorial Bridge.
Huh.
And then you have the Pound helmet, which is right there, the helmet.
Right
So
here.
that's the state of Cleveland right there.
Okay,
And
I
then
see it.
that's the helmet without the mask, that the old school.
Oh, yes. Okay, I can see it now.
And
You
then
put
the
it out,
final
I see it.
one is the stripe in the middle, which is the brown stripe that they have.
That is really freaking cool.
So they have those 8 things hidden inside that logo, which I thought, once I saw that, I thought was really cool that they actually implemented all that to hide it into that one logo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was one of the main things that I want to talk about. And then the last thing, which I don't know how much Twitter you've been on,
Not much. I need it.
but this thing is blowing up on Twitter, and it is the greatest thing to see such a piece of crap dad get called out. I don't know if you've heard of this Baby Gronk kid.
I have heard of Baby Gronk.
Okay,
The one that has, yes.
the Instagram where,
Yes,
yeah,
he's just currently the biggest kid in his grade group, so he looks like a baddie.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, this is my longest list that I have of anything that I had written down.
Oh my goodness.
Because I wanted to go in and understand what all is going on with this, and I wanted to get into it. So,
If you don't know, before we dive in too much, I don't. You might give some backstory. I'm not sure.
I am.
Okay, he's gonna give some backstory.
Yeah, so Baby Gronk, his name is Madden San Miguel. He's from Frisco, Texas. So there you go. I was just doing inspections out at a school where he went to school at.
Yeah, there you go.
So his dad is a former football player for Frisco, who apparently, from what I found out, got popped for steroid use.
Oh, nice.
So you're already kind of on this understanding that his dad's kind of a crap, right?
Yeah,
All right.
his dad lacks
So-
the morals of himself at least.
One of the notes that I put here is his dad just seems like he's worse than LeVar Ball.
Oh no.
So
That's pretty
all right.
bad.
he apparently already has an NIL deal
Especially
with Champ
since-
Sports.
Really?
Yeah,
What a cheap brand to land, but hey, win.
I mean you're a 10-year-old kid,
This is true. He is 10.
so it's not terrible. And he apparently signed as a celebrity entertainer by rapper Boosie. So he's on his label as a celebrity entertainer. Somehow, that was what I found. I was like, okay, I don't know about this. He's already visited Jackson State when Dion was there. He's visited Kentucky, Memphis, Louisville, Mizzo, Rice, Texas Tech, LSU, TAMU, Oklahoma State, and Alabama.
He
And
might be a
they
crappy dad, but
all
he's getting him looked.
got him dressed up in their gear. Like in their actual gear, like they would do trying to recruit a player.
Yeah.
Right? He was all dressed up in the gear.
Okay.
And legit standing, like posing, doing the same stuff in the same area.
Awesome.
But it was just football camps that he went to. And that's what I found out. It was
Uh,
all football camps. It wasn't that he was going there to get looked at or recruited because he was so good. He was going to camps.
Well, yeah, which he should at that age.
So then LSU gymnast Livy Dunn is apparently been recruiting him to come play at LSU. Hold on. It gets better. Bussin' with the Boys,
I love those guys.
they're the reason why this story blew up so much. Because his dad dropped into their DMs, or to Will specifically at first.
Will Compton.
Will Compton.
Former NFL linebacker.
They dropped into his DMs asking him if they could do an interview. Because Baby Gronk is blowing up. Like, he is this name that everyone has been getting on their stuff, and he's having all these interviews and giving all these goofy replies. And Will Compton was like, no, we're not interested. So what does he do? He messages Taylor Lewan, the co-host of the show.
Of the show.
He's
Former NFL.
No, he's
tackle.
he's
Oh,
not
he technically
former.
still is. He
He's
hasn't
still-
retired. He's just free agent. I believe.
So they messaged him and said, hey, we don't have to have Will in this. Would you like to do it?
Yes,
He
because
said,
that works.
No thanks.
That's how
And
it
then
works.
when they posted it, other media grabbed a hold of it and they were like, hey, this dude has been in our DMs constantly, just doing this, telling us, hey, we need to post this. Hey, there's this story, post this for us, post this. What it come to find out, this dude has been staging all these things. The Livy Dunn recruiting him was a whole stage thing.
Oh my god.
And they had to do multiple takes to get it just right.
Oh no.
Then there was this interview that he did where he was with his dad, and I don't know who they are, but they were interviewing him and they were asking these questions, and he was just like, I'm not gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he goes, no, hold on. No, say this. Or ask him again. And then they would ask the question again and go, or they would ask, so how are you going to stay in tip-top shape if you're not going to play tackle football next year? I'm going to get massages by baddies. Like, it's his dad telling him everything to say.
Oh
And then
my
every time they would ask the
gosh.
question, he wouldn't answer it good enough. He'd say, hold on. Say this. Okay, now ask it again. Like, yeah. So all this got blown up and caught. What's her name? She's with the Cowboys. She's Slater. Jane Slater. Okay, so Jane Slater on Twitter called him out. So they were up in at Frisco because she works in Frisco and she was up there at the Star in Frisco, and they were like, "Hey, we're close by. Do you think we could get a picture with you and Baby Gronk?" And that's what he calls his son. He calls his son Baby Gronk. He don't even call his son his real name. He calls him Baby Gronk.
Yeah.
And so she was like, yeah, sure, just come up here and we'll take a picture. And he's like, all right, cool. And come to find out, he was like, all right, we'll reshare this and then tag this so that we can share it. And then we can blow this up and make it really big. So all of a sudden, everyone started coming out with all this stuff where he's been DMing everyone.
Oh
So
my goodness.
what it's come down to is this has nothing to do with his son. You can look at now that you know this information and you go look him up, if you watch the videos, you can see the look on his son's face where he just does not want to be talking about any of this. He does not care. This is all his dad reliving the glory days and pushing his son
and trying to
roles.
get his son to be that guy. Oh my.
It is so sad to see all of this happen. And just watching it, I was just like, this is terrible. I hate this. Because at first I was like, this is kind of cool. He's going to all these schools. He's apparently
Yeah, it sounded like an
been
interesting story when I
accepted.
heard it on the radio.
yeah,
the other
and
day.
apparently he's been accepted to 4 different schools. He had been accepted to nowhere. That's just his dad putting it out there that he was. And then there was a picture of
It tells you what social media you can
Yeah.
do with social media.
And then there was a picture of Baby Gronk with this looked like a porn star, basically. And the dad was like, this is his mom. Come to find that's not his mom. That's just some woman that he posed with.
I wonder if we could get Baby Gronk's dad to be our promoter. Our ratings would blow up.
I mean, I just,
I'm not doing steroids or trying out for the NFL.
I felt, and what made me so mad was when I looked it up and I saw that they were from Frisco, Texas. I was like, it's gotta be someone from Texas.
Yeah.
Come on. It's gotta be someone right down the road.
A state where all you have to do is work hard and play good football, and you'll get a
Yeah.
scholarship because you're one of the 3 highest rated football states in the union.
My goodness. And his kid was, his kid did pretty good when I was watching some of the highlights. But they quit playing tackle football and he plays flag football now. Because he doesn't want to get hurt. Because he wants to stay healthy so that when he goes pro, he won't have any injuries.
Yeah, that won't work. You're gonna have to prove you can take a hit. If you can't get into if you're not playing at least high school football.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get into college playing.
And I was like, this dad is going to ruin this kid's life.
Oh, 100%. He's gonna
And
be the
I
kid
feel
that
so
eventually
bad
just
about
looks
it.
at his dad and says, I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah.
I'm out. So no. Yeah, that's goodness gracious. That is
Yeah.
terrible parenting.
Yeah.
Totally
Terrible
setting up your children to have a terrible life after growing up.
Because he's never going to live this baby Bronx stuff down. He's
Oh, no.
never going to live it
And
down.
when eventually he'll grow up and he'll be the joke.
Yep.
Because if he doesn't actually become a good football player, like he's gonna be a joke. So no, yeah, that's just embarrassing. But
So,
no, yeah, that kid's insane, and parenting's terrible. And it's funny because you look at what happened. The result of it for Lonzo is that most people think that the shoes that his dad pushed on him, those big baller brand shoes, might have been the beginning of what is his now possibly career-ending injury. So,
Yeah.
like you can see how these I want to do the best for my parents can actually be doing the total opposite in that.
Yep.
So pretty crazy. Sad for the kid for sure because it's not his fault. I mean, he's just doing what dad says. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
love your dad too.
Yeah.
So, but
It's pretty cringe though when you watch the actual
start looking at
videos before they're cut, when he's actually going, hold on, say this. All right, now I'll ask that question again. Like, that's when you start feeling so much cringe, because you're like, this kid is
It's
not
almost
gonna
like
do
watching the King Richard. I watched King Richard when I was doing my movie sports list, and there's
Okay.
it was the movie about how Venus and Serena.
Oh,
got
yeah.
And so it's real. A lot of it's about Venus's journey because people forget Venus is older and she was the one. Like you see how overbearingly controlling. Like he actually pulled the Venus out of youth tennis competing competitions for like 3 years and only let her train because he just wanted her to be able to break into play pro because he didn't like the way the parents pushed their children around him. And so they like moved to this complex in Florida and worked with the trainer at it. And then when Venus played her first professional match, Serena was still not getting to play tournaments yet. And he walked up to Serena and he said, like after Venus had just lost to the world number one in a really close match, and said, "You see what you're looking at now. I always knew Venus would be here first, but I always knew you'd be the best." And then obviously Serena goes on to be the greatest women's tennis player of all time, arguably.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that one, totally worth a watch.
That's the one
It
with
was
Will Smith, right?
Will Smith.
Yeah.
He does. It's a very good movie, and very good. It really got you digging into some other ones. Like when I dove into that list, it got me to that one. I ended up watching White Man Jump with the Wife, a few other movies that kind of fell in row on that list
Okay.
that were pretty good. So, but yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything.
I'm done with mine.
All right. Well, then I guess that's going to be it for this week, and I will share this one correctly on YouTube, and it will, like always, it'll be on Spotify and Apple TV. I'm occasionally getting people reaching out, asking questions, giving us reviews. Tell your friends about it. Get more people watching. If
Like,
nobody
share,
watches,
subscribe.
we don't care. If they do watch, cool. We're enjoying ourselves just sitting here rambling, so it doesn't
Yeah.
bug us. But like, share, subscribe. Y'all know the drill.